What if I told you that just could quietly rewire your mind, reshape your future, and even deepen your spiritual life? 20 minutes a day. No gym membership, no expensive course, no complicated routine, just you, a book, and 20 focused minutes. Sounds too simple, right? Let's begin. We live in a world of scrolls, swipes, and short attention spans. Most people feed their minds with fragments, headlines, clips, outrage, noise, but the people who transform their lives feed their minds with depth, with ideas that stretch them, with wisdom that outlives trends. And reading, even for a short, consistent window each day, is one of the highest return investments you can make in your mind, your emotions, your relationships, and your spiritual growth. Okay, let's dive in. Let me start by sharing a story. There was a young man in prison who found himself angry, lost, and uneducated. The system wrote him off, but in the prison library, he discovered books: history, philosophy, religion, law. He copied entire dictionaries by hand to build his vocabulary. He read late into the night when the lights went out. Page by page, he rebuilt his mind. That young man was Malcolm X. His transformation didn't begin on a stage. It began with reading. Words gave him perspective. Perspective gave him purpose. Purpose gave him power. That's what reading can do. It can open a door inside you that the world said was locked. Now let's look at a modern example from business. Warren Buffett has said he reads for hours every day. In his early years, up to 600 to 1,000 pages daily. Today, he still spends most of his workday reading and thinking. He's called reading like compound interest for the mind. His success wasn't built on frantic activity, it was built on informed decisions made possible by a lifetime of learning. And Oprah Winfrey, she built one of the most influential media platforms in the world and used it to start the Oprah Book Club because she knew stories transform the way we see ourselves and each other. You don't need 5 hours, you just need to start with 20 minutes. Now let's talk science, because the benefits are measurable. Cognitive fitness. Regular reading strengthens neural connections linked to comprehension, memory, and critical thinking. Think of it like strength training for your brain. Each paragraph forces you to hold ideas, connect patterns, and imagine concepts. Stress reduction. Studies have shown that reading, especially immersive reading, can lower stress levels more effectively than many other passive activities. 6 minutes of focused reading has been shown to significantly reduce heart rate and muscle tension in some experiments. Empathy and emotional intelligence. When you read stories, fiction, biography, even spiritual narratives, you inhabit the minds and emotions of others. MRI studies show that narrative reading activates brain regions tied to understanding other people's mental states. Translation: reading can make you kinder, more understanding, and better at relationships. Vocabulary and communication. A better vocabulary isn't about sounding clever. It's about precision. When you can name your experience, you can navigate it. When you can express your needs clearly, your relationships improve. When you can communicate vision, leadership becomes possible. Neuroprotection. Lifelong readers show cognitive resilience later in life. Mental stimulation builds cognitive reserve, which may help slow age-related decline. 20 minutes a day isn't just self-improvement, it's brain maintenance. But reading isn't only mental, it's spiritual. Across the world's great traditions, seeking knowledge is seen as a sacred act. In Islam, the very first revelation to the Prophet Muhammad began with the command, read. Seeking knowledge is considered an act of worship, and scholars are held in great honor. In Sikhism, the Guru Granth Sahib is not just a book, it is the living word, sung, studied, contemplated. Sikhs gather in Sangat community to listen, reflect, and apply wisdom. In Judaism, generations have sat around tables studying Torah, arguing, questioning, wrestling with meaning. Study is dialogue with the divine. In Christianity, believers are encouraged to renew the mind. The Gospels were written so the teachings could be carried across time and culture. Reading scripture is meant to transform heart and behavior. In Hinduism, wisdom texts like the Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita are recited and studied because hearing and contemplating these teachings leads to jnana, spiritual knowledge that frees. In Buddhism, the sutras preserve the teachings of the Buddha. Monks chant, memorize, and study them to awaken insight. Different languages, different eras. One pattern: wisdom comes to those who seek, and reading is one of the most direct ways to seek. Let me share something personal. For years, I chased results, business, deals, growth. I read only when it was useful. But when I began reading across disciplines, spirituality, neuroscience, biographies of people who failed and rose again, something shifted. My decisions slowed down. My reactions softened. My perspective widened. I began to see repeating truths across traditions, across centuries. The same codes show up everywhere: discipline, humility, service, stillness, courage. Reading became meditation with pages. Now, let's make this practical, because information without application changes nothing. I want to give you 5 powerful ways to build a 20-minute daily reading habit that actually transforms you, not just fills your shelf. 1. Lock the time. Make it sacred. Pick a consistent window, first thing in the morning before the phone, or last thing before bed instead of scrolling. Set a daily recurring alarm labeled Read 20, Feed the Mind. When it's scheduled, it's real. Treat it like an appointment with your future self. 2. Create a read stack. Remove friction. Keep 2 to 3 books physically within reach. 1 mindset, spiritual, 1 biography or story, 1 skill or business finance. When you sit down, there's no decision fatigue, just pick up and read. Bonus, leave the book open where you stopped. Visual cue equals restart cue. 3. Read with a pen or notes app. Don't be a passive consumer. Underline, star, write, apply this in the margin. Capture 1 actionable line per session. 1 idea a day equals 365 life upgrades a year. 4th, pair reading with reflection. After your 20 minutes, close the book and ask, what did I learn? How does this apply to today? Say it out loud or journal 2 lines. Knowledge without integration evaporates. 5. Share 1 insight. Text a friend, teach your child, post 1 line in your community. Teaching locks learning. When you give away the idea, you own it more deeply. Let's pause here for a moment. If you're getting value from this, help me grow this community of disciplined minds and open hearts. Tap like, drop a comment, and tell me, what book are you reading right now? And if you're recommitting to 20 minutes a day, type, I'm in. And please share this video with 1 person who needs a reset. Okay, let's go deeper. What should you read? Read Across Time, a modern performance book next to an ancient wisdom text. Read across voices, people you agree with and people you don't. Growth lives in tension. Read across traditions, a page from Rumi, a verse from Proverbs, a teaching from the Buddha, a lesson from the Gita, a reflection from the Desert Fathers, a line from contemporary psychology. Watch the common threads appear. Here's a flowing sampler you can rotate through your 20-minute sessions. Mix and match. A spiritual text, Dhammapada, Bhagavad Gita, Psalms, Proverbs, Sikh Bani, Hadith collections. Tao Te Ching. A Mindset Discipline book, Atomic Habits, James Clear, The Daily Stoic, Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hanselman. Grit, Angela Duckworth. A biography that stretches perspective, Long Walk to Freedom, Nelson Mandela, Steve Jobs, Walter Isaacson, the autobiography of Malcolm X. A reflective or poetic voice, Rumi, Hafiz, Kabir, Mary Oliver, Khalil Gibran. Something directly tied to your current goal. Business, health, leadership, investing. Rotate categories. That keeps your 20 minutes fresh and your growth multidimensional. Now let's talk strategy for people who say, I don't have time. You do. You just haven't protected it. Try this. Pair reading with a habit you already do daily. Coffee, read while you sip. Train commute, read instead of scroll. Waiting room moments, keep an e-reader or audiobook ready. Audiobooks count with one condition. Listen intentionally. If you're multitasking so hard you miss the message, slow down. Some people do 10 minutes audio plus 10 minutes print ebook to reinforce learning. Let's address two common roadblocks. I start but forget what I read. Solution. End each session by writing one takeaway in a running note labeled Reading Wins. Repetition builds recall. I fall asleep reading at night. Try reading earlier, or stand while reading the final 5 minutes, or shift to audiobook before bed. What matters is not perfection, it's consistency. Because reading 20 minutes once? Nice. Reading 20 minutes a day for a year? Transformational. Let me give you a vision. 20 minutes a day equals roughly 10 to 15 pages for most people. Depends on pace. At that rate, you can finish 15 to 25 average length books a year without ever finding more time. Imagine 5 spiritual masters, 5 mindset discipline books, 5 biographies of world changers in your mind by next year. Who would you become? And here's something deeper. When you read every day, you begin to hear an inner counsel. You don't face decisions alone. You carry the calm of Buddha, the courage of Mandela, the discipline of Stoic thinkers, the compassion of Christ, the duty of Sikh warriors, the surrender of Sufi poets. Pages become mentors. Mentors become mindsets. Mindsets become actions. Actions become destiny. Let's move toward closing. If life feels confusing, noisy, or out of control, shrink the problem. Sit down, open a book, feed your mind one line at a time. Knowledge organizes chaos, wisdom softens fear, and 20 minutes of focused reading can do more for your clarity than 2 hours of anxious scrolling. Because the question isn't, do you read? The question is, what are you feeding your mind daily? Garbage in, confusion out, wisdom in, clarity out. So the next time you're tempted to say, I don't have time, remember, you don't need time, you need priority. 20 minutes, one book, one mind, your life. Let's close with this. A person who runs fast can cover ground, but a person who reads deeply can cross generations. Your future is being written. Question is, by whose words? The random noise of the world, or the wisdom you choose to absorb? Choose wisely, choose daily, choose 20 minutes. If this message speaks to you, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Drop your current read in the comments. I'd love to build a community reading list together. This is Amit Kainth, The Mindset. Feed the mind, grow the soul, change your world 20 minutes at a time.